Mondays are always hard, aren't they? And I just had a session with someone, and it made me realize that a lot of you are just confused in life because you don't really know what to follow and what not to follow, because there is a plethora of information floating everywhere, like everywhere. Okay, you don't even know whether the information that is there on Instagram is reliable, or whether it's on YouTube and you could listen to all of these coaches and these influencers and motivational speakers who have a lot of credibility to their name, but somehow they don't really make the cut because they don't align with the kind of things that maybe you believe in. Okay, so I have some things to tell you here. When I was in session with this particular client, I realized that even if the things that are spoken online hold true to a certain extent, but they do not apply to everyone. Okay, so for example, if there is someone who has just been out of a phase of depression, or they have been out from a narcissistic abusive relationship, and you are telling them to go to the gym and work on their appearance and do this and do that and all sorts of things, the first basic challenge actually for them is to get out of bed. Okay, so you cannot decide at what point of struggle should someone begin doing these things at. So let's just say that someone has been through a lot in life, and for them getting out of bed is like a major task, because pain cannot be quantified, right? Like, who is there to decide how much pain you had or how much pain I had? Now listen to me very carefully. So you cannot. Your big sister is talking. Okay, leave everything aside. Don't listen to all of these motivational speakers and everybody who's been like telling you a lot of things and you don't know what to follow. The first thing is that if you are bed rotting, or if you are caught up in a rut, you need to do 3 things: one physically, one mentally, and one spiritually, to break free of that rut. Okay, physically, what can you do? You can wash the dishes, you can make your bed, you can rearrange your clothes, you can reorganize your table, whatever. Okay, you can do one physical task. You don't have to join the gym straight away. Okay, because I know it's hard. All right, it's very hard to get out of bed when you have suffered some level of abuse. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, anything that you can do mentally. I'm not saying that everybody is born genius. Okay, but what can you do in order to feel like you are somebody and you're not stupid, or you're not a fool? Because that's what happens when something bad happens in your life. You tend to think that you're a fool. That's a given. Okay, if you're someone who uses a phone a lot, download games that are brainstorming ones. Okay, you can download Scrabble, you can download Sudoku, you can even buy a board game for that matter. Okay, get someone to play it with you. All right, I'm not talking about those online games where you have to pay money and stuff like that, but you can definitely do something which will allow this brain to work. Okay, because your brain is idle, and that is why you're telling yourself the wrong kind of stories. Number 3, anything that is spiritual. Okay, now some people pray, some people do not pray, but you can take up a religious text and read it like a piece of literature. We all read stories, we all read newspapers, we all read something, correct? So even if you're not a religious person, even if, let's say, you don't believe in anything at all, just pick up a religious textbook, pick up any philosophical textbook, pick up any book that has knowledge to it. I began my journey, it was very hard because I didn't have a coach. I had to go through a series of trials and errors in order to get something done. And some of the things that these motivational speakers and these people online, they were swearing by, they didn't really work for me. So that's why I know that all of these tried and tested methods that they keep talking about, they might not work for everyone. So for example, if you have a hard time getting out of bed the next morning because you've been crying all night, what is the first thing that you can do in order to feel better? Maybe eat something that really feels good inside your body, isn't it? But these people will keep telling you that, oh, you need to hit the gym, you need to look a certain way, you need to show that you're not a quitter or anything. Nobody said that you're a quitter. Okay, nobody said that. It's just that you're telling those things to yourself because you want something to make you feel better. Okay, it doesn't have to be the way how people are terming it as. Like, if even if they're telling you that you're mental and you need some kind of doctor, I would tell you that no, you don't have to, unless it's a very serious issue. You don't really need to see a doctor. You don't even need a therapist for that matter. You can solve most of these problems by yourself if you know how to navigate your emotions. And that is why you need a coach. You only need a coach when you do not really know how to apply those techniques that these people are talking about. Because if you're just following these YouTube channels randomly, a lot of times they're going to confuse you because they themselves don't know what they're talking about. Okay, these people say that they have these degrees and qualifications and everything, and I'm not shading anybody, but I'm just telling you how the market is like. Okay, I have worked with 300 plus clients, and I've seen every single person's journey going from, let's say, mediocre to better to best. And there are people who were not able to do the simplest of tasks, from that particular level to going up to that level of achieving something phenomenal. Those things require a lot of patience. And the only reason why you think Mondays are hard is because you're anticipating what the week has to bring for you. You don't know what is going to happen. Future is always a little scary, isn't it? If you knew what was going to happen in the future, you would never have been scared in the first place. That's the same reason why you move on to something like numerology or tarot card reading or astrology. Just try to know what is going to happen in the future. But imagine if you just take all that belief that you have in external things and channelize it into doing something for yourself, and to make sure that no matter how bad your day goes, even if it's like every day of the week, you somehow still manage to survive. Because that level of belief cannot come unless you want to feel better. Like, people keep saying that I want to feel better, I want to feel this way, I want to feel that way, I want to feel like, I'm the king of the world or something. But you don't act like the king, you don't act like the queen. Because if you want to rule the world, you also need to have that kind of courage to even be able to defend your actions. All right, and a lot of times people don't get that because they want a lot of things, but they're not willing to make the sacrifice. So your new life will cost you the old one. If you can understand this, if you can stick by that, you'll see that there is a significant difference that's happening in your life. But the problem is that you may be wishing for a different life, but you're doing the same kind of things. And that's the reason why Monday becomes the biggest enemy that you have. Because as soon as Monday comes, you think that the life that is going to come up after Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, until Saturday comes, and then again it's the loop. You somehow feel like it's going to be the biggest challenge, and you will not be able to overcome that. So your procrastination begins. You start anticipating, you start resenting yourself. You don't even have love for yourself, because you think that if you're going to show yourself that kind of love, maybe it's not required. I totally get the fact that you want to have a comfortable lifestyle, and you want to have everything that is to do with luxury. You want to have that house, that car, maybe get married to the love of your life, everything. But imagine if you're putting all of those things at a priority and you're not prioritizing your mental health. Who is going to enjoy all of that? So you might have everything, but then you might cut down several years of your life because you're so stressed that you have invited several health problems because your body couldn't take it anymore. So even if your progress is slow, it doesn't mean that you're not progressing at all. The problem is that people have quantified progress so much that within 5 years someone has achieved that, within 3 years someone has achieved that. We are not here for competing with others. We're here to compete with ourselves, the version of ourselves that we have left behind, because we don't want to go back to being the same person. Like, I'm sure you people have had certain improvements, but would it be okay to downplay all of that and just throw it all away because somebody just fed that in your head that you're not doing enough? So what do you do in that case? You just make sure that whatever you're doing, however you're doing it, you have to accept yourself first. And when you start doing that, Monday doesn't look very tough anymore. You're waking up every day with a new sense of energy, with a new sense of innovation, a love for life, because the more innovative you become in your way of life, the better it becomes. So now you know that there is just not one way of doing something. There can be several ways of doing something. So you're okay with accepting that. So when somebody says that, okay, doing a 6-figure job is going to ensure that you have a car, but so is like doing something else that can ensure maybe double that amount of money, and you can still have that car. So people tend to, there's always going to be someone smarter than you, someone more beautiful, someone more intelligent than you are, someone might be even more gifted than you are, but nobody's going to be you. And that is your superpower, because you downplay yourself thinking that you might have a talent less than someone who is half your age, but you don't really acknowledge the gifts that you have, things that God has given you, blessings that He has bestowed upon you. And that's kind of living a very ungrateful life, because you don't really acknowledge the things that maybe somebody is praying for. Okay, so you have to make a judgment there. If you can understand how you are different from others, you will never question your worth anymore, because each of us is different from each other. So the fact that you are you and I am I, the only thing that makes me into me is the fact that I am not you. So if you can understand this theory, you will be able to get past a lot of those mental blockages that you have. Those blockages are nothing but they are stories that you have told yourself when you couldn't find an answer. So that's how the human mind works. When you don't find an answer, you try to latch onto the most probable explanation as to what is happening. And you have to stop doing that, because when you're tense, you come up with the most random explanations. They make no sense. When you're the happiest, then you probably don't have to come up with any explanations because you're happy. But when you don't know an answer, that is when you go ahead and become completely crazy. So to stop doing that. Happy Monday.